All right, Pittsburgh Steelers defense. You guys worried about the Steelers defense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
What are you worried about?
Worried about T.J. Watt. I
That
think
front
he's a hell of a
seven,
player.
dude. That D line, and that a bunch
Pressures
of
are down by him, by the way.
Well, I saw him wreck a game against the Falcons week 1, which was unbelievable. I mean, he's one of the few guys that I think, from a defensive standpoint, are on the short list, can absolutely ruin your day.
Sure.
And his ability, I think, you talk about a toolbox. He's got a lot of moves in that tool set there to work with. But also, Joey Porter Jr., I think, is a good corner on the outside. I think they've got Minkah Fitzpatrick. Their secondary's not bad.
What if I told you that teams just kind of run the ball at T.J. Watt with some success?
sounds about right. That's how you should do it.
Yeah, him
Try
and
and neutralize him.
Well, the player that they're going to miss in this game is Alex Highsmith.
Sure.
They're going to miss Highsmith.
Because he takes
Good
pressure off
linebacker.
the other side, and he's a good player, too.
He is a really good player. And if you talk about guys that could play the run and rush the passer, the Steelers are built. Steelers are built really to, this is the third game the Cowboys are going to play against an AFC North team. And the one thread is they've all got good fronts. They really are. Their defensive fronts are all pretty good.
Yeah, because they got guys that are tough to move off the ball. Like you talked about that with Baltimore, but Benton, the Wisconsin
Keanu
guy.
Benton's really a good player.
And then Cam Hayward has been doing it for decades, feels like.
This is where you actually might have a matchup win. And when I talk about with Cam Hayward, because he is going to line up the majority of the time over Tyler Smith.
Okay.
So
It's a good matchup to circle.
Yeah. So Cam Hayward is, when it comes to pressure from tackles, he's one of the better ones. But you're lining up against a guy that doesn't give up pressures. So that's something you can look forward to in this game. The one thing that they've yet to show is T.J. Watt is not going to move over to the right side.
Okay, he's stationary now?
They're not moving him.
No, pretty stationary.
Is that only when Highsmith plays, or even if Highsmith is out?
Highsmith, it doesn't matter.
Wow.
Highsmith or Herbeck, they leave him over on the offense's right side.
Terrence Steele have a day.
Yeah. So Terrence Steele, teams have done a good job of chipping this guy, and I mentioned running the ball at him. These edges, when people have tossed the ball to the outside or got the ball to the edge and they put big bodies over there, they mash on these guys a little bit. I mean, they
run on them.
They run on them because they can't hold up on the blocks. Can't get off the blocks like they need to. I mean, there were several times the Chargers just said, okay, we're going to run it over here, and you're just not going to be able to stop us from running it.
Do you think the Cowboys can do that?
Can they replicate it?
Blocks and find a way to get success running the ball?
It's going to be, to me, I think it's an easier task to run the ball on these edges than it is to try and run it inside.
All right.
So, but Dallas won't run the ball. Now, maybe they'll do their crack toss stuffs and things like that, And by the way, if they do crack toss, it needs to not be Tolbert.
Oh, my God. Watching him block is...
Okay, now maybe this is where you get Flournoy involved.
Yes,
Flournoy, bigger guy.
He was blocking well in the preseason.
Yeah, you get a bigger guy. But the one thing that the teams were kind of able to do was when they wanted to just be big and take the ball at these edges will fight to get off blocks, but they had some problems getting off blocks. People try and stay away from them. And the way that these edges make plays is when you don't block them and they run you down from the backside. That's where when you watch Watt, and like Dallas won't do much of the read option stuff. They won't. I mean, I don't see them doing that. I mean, they tried to do it the other day. Dak pulled it. They had a negative play.
Yeah.
I don't see them trying this at all. But when they play teams that do that, you're going to get that crash. They get that crash end is what they do. Crash down inside.
Yeah.
But that's how Watt and these guys make plays. They just haul off, run inside, make the tackle. But when teams are trying to kind of bully them a little bit, it's been some problems. I don't know if Dallas will be able to bully them, but that's if you want to.
Be awesome if they did.
Want to try.
I mean, they've been keeping teams out of the end zone pretty nicely.
Yeah, they've done a nice job with that. How about this for this team though? And I was wondering because You don't see them blitz at all, which it plays right into Dak. Dak loves a team that will blitz him. These guys don't blitz. I'm sitting there, I'm looking at them going, why do they not blitz? I went and checked it just to make sure. They're one of 5 teams in the league. I learned this. One of 5 teams in the league that when they bring more than 4, their pressure rates go down.
Huh. Wow.
So they rather just rush 4.
They'd rather rush 4.
Or do they do like a lot of sim pressures like the Ravens where they show like 5 or 6 guys there on the front and then you don't know which 4 are coming, but it's usually just 4?
No, it's just
they
4.
Keep it straight up.
Keep it straight up. If they're going to bring pressure, it's going to be either the safety or one of the linebackers. But they don't do it. Like I was curious because I'm like, I broke it down where I have the capability of looking at all the passes and I look at all the pressures, and all of them are 4-man pressures. Generally, all of them are 4-man pressures. And I'm thinking, why do they don't blitz? And I checked the numbers, and they don't. They just don't. And then I learned that when they bring more than 4, they're even worse. Their pressure numbers go down. But this is kind of where you're at with this team. Patrick Queen isn't playing very well for them.
I was about to say to you, give me some Jake Ferguson up the seam with Queen in the mix.
Who's the best linebacker? Peyton Wilson. Let me guess.
Peyton Wilson's playing pretty well for them.
Yeah, not a shock. Gosh dang it.
Peyton Wilson playing pretty well for them, but Queen's not, and I think Queen misses somebody telling him what to do.
For all he does, he wasn't very good until Roquan Smith got there.
Yeah, this is a situation when you look at Queen, he's a guy that when they give up an explosive play, it's generally because they guess on a route or they jump gaps. And Queen is the most guilty of jumping gaps. So in the running game, he'll be out of position at times because he's jumping a gap. He's trying to guess where the ball's going to go. But they've got a good player. They've got a good player in Peyton Wilson. He's a rookie. We talked about him. If you listen to the draft show, he's got no ACL. He's got multiple shoulder injuries. I mean, he's being held together with tape and baling wire.
He was like 14 surgeries guy, but he had been healthy his last year at NC State, and he wrecked it.
Yeah, but he plays well.
14 surgeries. That's crazy.
He plays well. All right, they play a ton of zone coverage on you now.
Cover 3, right? That's their bread and butter.
That's their bread and butter right there is cover 3. And what you can do to these guys too is because they'll play a lot of zone. So what happens is that they'll give you access and routes. And I don't know if you're the Steelers, if you're Terrell Austin here, the defensive coordinator, would you give Dallas any access and routes with the receiving core they have?
No, I'd be bump and run. I mean, I would be all over these dudes. You won't be able to create any separation other than, of course, CeeDee Lamb. He's a guy that can create separation. But outside of that, you're not worried about the scheme creating separation for the guy, and you're not worried about any of these guys not named CeeDee Lamb getting out of press man coverage and creating any separation. So I would just be all up in their grill all day.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll do that, but that's how I would play Dallas.
Right.
The one thing that I learned though watching, and I don't know if Dallas will do this, you can scheme your guys on their bad players, on their secondary guys. Maybe Beanie Bishop, the nickel, has had some problems. Deontay Jackson has had some problems in some of the games I've watched.
Joey Porter Jr. and Minka are probably 2 studs, right?
Porter's not playing as well as he did, and what happened is they're having problems with communication on the back end. Chargers hit him he jumped a route. They went a flat and a vertical route, and Herbert kind of faked like he was going to throw the flat, and Porter jumped the route. Colts with the Colts got down there.
Was it Josh Downs
on the goal line?
Yeah.
Got on the goal line, and Porter and Queen got confused their spacing was bad, and they gave up a touchdown that way. This guy last year, when you started talking about tight window throws, he's one of the best in the league at it. That's not the case right now. So I don't know if you want to mess with Joey Porter a bunch, but Joey Porter playing off and Joey Porter not communicating is a liability.
Wow.
When it comes to, when he's playing on, I think he's a much better player.
That's how he was at Penn State too, but it sounds like these other 2 corners they've got, CeeDee Lamb definitely can take advantage of them.
They'll bump coverage. And I mean bump coverage if you use motion to cross. You can get them to bump the coverage outside. So if you take a back outside, they'll just bump the coverage. They won't carry it with the linebacker. They'll they'll bump a corner all the way over. So if Dallas is willing to try and motion some guys into position, they can match up with some guys that maybe give them some favorable looks.
What about kicking Ferguson? You have him in line now. You flex him out to the slot. Is there some matchups there you like for Fergie?
You could absolutely. The thing that you're right about Fitzpatrick. He's really, and Deshaun Elliott's become a really good player for them.
Yeah, he'll smack you.
Yeah, the safety play I think is pretty good there. But there's things I think you can do with Porter in zone coverage.
Okay.
And I feel like that Beanie Bishop, the nickel number 31, is a guy that I would try and get Lamb on as much as possible in this game. And maybe do some things to try and mess with Patrick Queen a little bit with him, maybe confuse him a little bit, put him in some coverage. And then you're going to have to find a way to help Steele with some chips and things like that. You just can't let Watt go on him one-on-one. But like I said, losing Alex Highsmith was a big loss for these guys.